One of the most common parts that fail on an air conditioner is a capacitor. I'm going to show you how to test a dual run capacitor and how to tell if a dual run capacitor needs to be replaced. First thing we're going to do is cut the power. Remove the disconnect or shut off the breaker. There should be an access panel there. We're going to remove the screws and take that cover plate off. Now before we disconnect anything, go ahead and snap a picture so that you know how to hook the wires back up when you're done. We want to discharge any excess electricity. We're going to take our screwdriver and touch it across the terminals. Now we can remove the wires. The capacitor should be held in place by a strap. Loosen that up and remove the capacitor. If you are checking your capacitor and you see bulging or something leaking out the side, you can probably skip the testing phase and go straight to replacing it. But if it looks okay, all you're going to need to test it is a meter that measures microfarads. A capacitor should have a label on the side of it. You're going to see 2 microfarad numbers because there's technically 2 capacitors inside this one unit. You'll also see a tolerance represented by a plus or minus number. This means that the capacitor can do its job without damaging the motors as long as it's within that range. First, we need to do a little bit of math to find the tolerance. My capacitor is plus or minus 5%. So what we're going to do is multiply each microfarad number by 5%. To get the minus 5%, we're going to multiply times 0.95. To get the plus 5%, we're going to multiply times 1.05. This gives us a tolerance between 33.25 microfarads and 36.75 microfarads for the compressor, and 4.75 to 5.25 for the fan. These are the ranges that the capacitor needs to test between in order to determine whether it's good or bad. All right, now that we have those numbers, we're actually going to take our tester and we're going to set it to measure capacitance, or microfarads. But keep in mind, whatever reading we get when we're testing the capacitor, if that falls above or below the tolerance, the number that we just came up with, it's out of the manufacturer's recommended tolerance and it should be replaced. Now, when we're identifying which terminal we're going to test, first we're going to find the common terminal. Look for a C or look for the terminal that has 4 prongs. Then stick the black probe of your tester on it. Next, find the compressor terminal. It'll either have HERM or 3 prongs on it. Stick the red probe on it. Then watch your tester, and does that number fall within the acceptable range? Mine looks like it is right on the edge of being out of range. Next, we're going to test the fan terminal. Look for it labeled fan or having 1 or 2 prongs. And then does that reading fall within the acceptable range? Looks like mine is spot on. If one side of it, or if one of those capacitors isn't working, you have to replace the whole unit. Even if your system is still running, it's good to be proactive as it starts to get weak, because the longer the compressor or the fan runs on a weak capacitor, the more it will shorten the life of those components. And those components, the fan and the compressor, they're not cheap to replace, especially when you compare it to the cost of one of these dual run capacitors. The way that mine is, I'm going to go ahead and make a video about replacing a capacitor. One, because it's on that weak end of the tolerance, and I need another video to make. For now, let's go ahead and put this thing back in. I hope yours is actually okay and you feel good about testing it and you know that yours is working. So let's go put this back. Okay, so now we can button everything up. As long as you have a meter that can measure microfarads, you should be able to test your capacitor. I hope you found this video helpful. Until next time, good luck with your next project. And if you ever feel like you've gotten in over your head, it's okay to ask for help. Thanks for watching. See ya.